I have his fellow soldiers are right there and they're trying to tell me to do something to save his life. Dude, there's nothing I can do. He's gone.
So speaking of identity a little bit, let's go back to the beginning. Your initial choice to go into the Navy, you didn't just choose to be a Navy and be a sailor, which if you do that, anybody who chooses to do that, that's great. Good on you. Anybody who serves, I respect it. But you said, no, I want to be a Navy SEAL and I also want to be a medic. So what drove you towards that specific path of being a helper and a healer in a community of warriors?
Dude, I love that, man. So the reason why I joined the Navy is to become a Navy SEAL. And the reason that is because of 9/11, man. I was a freshman in high school when 9/11 happened. And I just remember being glued to the TV, watching the towers burn, watching Americans fall, and watching the Twin Towers collapse, man. And when you're a freshman in high school, you're living in your own little world, man. And what I realized, I was naive to the fact that there are evil human beings that do not like our way of living, that want to take away, want to destroy our freedoms. I made a decision that I was going to join the military. However, I was going to join the most elite force that our country has, the US Navy SEALs. So that was my path, man. As soon as I graduated high school, June of 2004, a month later, my man, I was in Navy boot camp. That was a piece of cake. However, I didn't go from boot camp straight into the SEAL teams, man. I was a fleet guy. And the story behind that is when I was joining the Navy, they had this program where it was the undesignated seaman or undesignated airman program. And that means that you can come into the Navy if you don't know what you want to do or what you want to be, what job you want to choose, then the Navy allows you to come through this program. And while you're in the Navy, you can choose whatever job you want. Not only that, you can get a $3,000 bonus for coming in as an undesignated airman. The pitch was awesome. I was 17 years old, $3,000, sign me up. I joined the Navy, my man. After boot camp, my first orders were to Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, dude. I joined the Navy to go see the world, become a SEAL, and I'm landlocked. And I'm like, what's Oklahoma? Where's Oklahoma? I check in Tinker Air Force Base. I'm undesignated, man. When you're undesignated, it means you don't have a job. That means the Navy could do whatever the hell they want with you, man. They can put you wherever they want. I got sent to facilities. I was a glorified janitor for like 3 months. And then I just kept bouncing around, man. So eventually, SEAL wasn't a rate back then. So you had to choose a SEAL source rate to go into the SEAL pipeline. So while I was in Oklahoma, I chose AO, Aviation Ordnanceman, because it was a Navy SEAL source rate. I got sent back to A school, back to Pensacola, Florida, went through AOA school, and then I got orders to a ship, the USS Ronald Reagan. And the reason why I got sent to a ship is because I told the detailer, send me where the SEALs trained. So they were like, the only orders we have for that is the USS Ronald Reagan in Coronado. I was like, send me over there. I wanted to be as close to the SEALs as I possibly can, man.
Mhm.
So I went to the USS Ronald Reagan, man, and that was a rude awakening. Ship life is no joke. You're working 16, 18-hour days. And I realized real fast, like, hey, this Navy stuff, hey, the men and women that are doing it, the sailors that are doing it, much respect. It just wasn't for me, man. I did a deployment with the USS Ronald Reagan. And through that process, I kept training, man. I kept training to become a SEAL. I put my buds package while I was on the Ronald Reagan. And once I got accepted, man, passed the PST, I was well trained by that point, made it through buds, made it through SQT. While I was in SQT was when one of the instructors asked if anybody was interested in going to the SOCM, Special Operations Combat Medic course. And I raised my hand. When I raised my hand, the instructor said, hey, do you have a college education? I said, no. He was like, well, you're not going to pass this course. He's like, you got to have a college education. I was like, Roger that. I'm still signing up.
Yeah.
So so I signed up, man, and I got a chance after SQT. I went straight to soccer, man, and became a medic. The reason why I chose to be a medic is because my mother was a medical assistant, man, and she was passionate about medicine. I wanted to get into medicine. I love helping people, man. And the way I thought about it, you need a medic everywhere you go. You know, any combat operation, you got to have a medic. So I figured I'll sign up for it, man. It was great. SOCM was extremely difficult. I did get rolled, but I made it. They called me the little engine that could. Dude, I almost didn't make it through that course, man. And the reason that is because I didn't have a method. I didn't know how to study. I graduated high school, went straight to the Navy. So a lot of the guys in there had a college education. They had a methodology for studying, for passing exams. For me, it was like memorize everything, memorize the entire book, man. So I struggled in SOCM, but dude, when you're committed to the grind, you're going to put in the hours, you're going to pass, you're going to figure it out. And what I learned about myself is that academically, it was challenging because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how it would be applied. However, once we transitioned over where we were hands on, everything clicked. Everything made sense. And I'm a kinesthetic learner, man. I got to touch it. I got to feel it. I got to manipulate it. That's the way I process things. And I'm able to figure it out. And then, yeah, I made it through the course, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good stuff there. So the guy said, "Hey, if you don't have a college education, you don't have a college degree, you're not gonna make it." Obviously, you proved them wrong, but can you paint us the picture of what it's like in that schoolhouse and drinking through that fires? I mean, all throughout your military career, you're drinking through a fire hose. Anytime you go to a new training, anytime you go to a pre-deployment training, they're cranking that pressure up. But in SOCM and Joint Special Operations Medical Training Course, it's a different degree of that fire hose. Do you mind painting us that picture?
Absolutely, man. And you hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely drinking out of a fire hose. Not only that, it's an army school, very regimented. You're waking up every day. You got to be at 5:30 a.m., roll call, head count, right? And you're sitting through class from like 8 a.m. to 4, 5 p.m. You're learning about anatomy and physiology. You're learning about trauma. You're learning about pharmacology. Now, if you have zero familiarity with this, you're going to struggle, right? Because you're learning something new, but they're throwing all this information at you. And the worst part is whatever you're learning that week, there's going to be a quiz at the end of the week, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're learning. Friday, you've got a quiz. You got a pharmacology quiz and you got an anatomy and physiology. This is where I struggled, man. It's like I knew one very well, but I didn't know the other one. So you've got two categories being thrown at you, and I would pass one and then barely pass another one. So when you don't pass a quiz in SOCM, you have to stay behind in school a little longer from like 5 to I think 7 or 8 p.m. doing extra study time, man. That was me, brother. Extra study time all day. You're constantly being bombarded with new stuff, man. So it's one of those things that you have to keep up. You have to retain really fast, retain things. And the thing for me, the reason why I struggled is because I wasn't able to apply it so quickly. It was just a lot of information being thrown at you, and they just expected you to know it by the end of the week. So yeah, man, drinking out of a fire hose, man, but it was one heck of an experience. And once we transitioned from the academic side of things, and then we were out in the field with the goats doing our trauma, going over, learning what a crike is, learning about chest tubes, applying those chest tubes. That's where it became fun to me, man. That's where I was like, dude, I love this, man. I love it because now you're applying the skills that you were just taught, but there's a level of urgency that's required when you're a medic, man. So, anytime that we had a down goat or a down man, you had to respond. You had to make sure that you can keep that goat alive. So it was an incredible experience, man.
It really was. In Buds, we had a corpsman named Gutierrez in my class, and he came from the recon side of the house. He was a special operation combat medic. Had already been to that schoolhouse, worked with the Marines, but he's like, you know what? I still want to be a Navy SEAL. So he left that, started Buds, started everything all over. He was mentoring us junior medics just straight out of Corpsman A school. And he was like, man, you're going to just get so much out of that schoolhouse. He's just couldn't say enough good things about it. And one of the analogies that he made was he's like, you're going to go from knowing basically nothing about medicine to watching an airplane crash, and you're just gonna be like, "Hold my beer," and you're just gonna go over there and you're gonna be completely confident and completely knowledgeable on how to triage, manage, assess, and treat every single injury pattern that you might see there with full confidence.
100%, man. I think that's the beauty of that course is I think it's like 9 months long now. It used to be when I went through it, it was 6 months long. But you leave there with that level of confidence knowing that, hey, I can do this, right? I can save lives. But it's throughout the whole course, right? You've got your cadre, the instructor staff guiding you throughout all the process. What I enjoyed as well was when we were doing our internships and we were actually in the ER. And now these were human casualties, right? Human, whatever the injury was, whether it's a broken femur, a gunshot wound, you were put in a position where you can lead, you could be the team lead on some patient, whether it's a trauma or a medical patient, and you were applying that skill set, man, but you were applying it with a level of confidence because of what these cadres, because of everything you learned, man. So I definitely enjoyed that portion of it. And I love the fact that I was able to save lives, man. One of my biggest deployments it was where I put a lot of my medical skills to the test was the PI, the Philippines. That was my second deployment in SEAL Team 1, man. I had 3 mass casualties in that time that I was there. I was there for 7 months. And I remember the first time we got a call, and I'm in this island in the Philippines called Basilan, man. And I remember I get a call, partner forces letting us know that, hey, they got a couple guys have been shot, right? And I was like, Roger that. So I had my little medical station, had all my resources. And I just remember being super confident, waiting for the casualty to come in. As soon as he came in, it was a gunshot wound to the leg. It was like the upper thigh area, tourniquet, stop the bleeding, pack the wound up. Another one that hadn't come in yet, but was en route was a gunshot wound to the stomach. And I was telling my new guys, I was like, hey, fellas, we got the next one coming in is a gunshot wound to the stomach. Stand by. More than likely, this is going to be an abdominal evisceration, right? And guys were like, what's that? I was like, his guts are going to be hanging out, dude. Dude, patient comes in, his guts are hanging out, dude. And I'm just like, dude, all the skills that you learned out in SOCM and Fort Bragg, I'm out there pulling debris out, washing the intestines out, stopping any bleed, clamping any bleeders, and then securing it, right? Packing it up and securing it. But when I was with that patient, man, we're trained to stabilize our patients. But wounds like that need surgical intervention. So we're in this island. I'm telling my comms guy, my radio guy, I'm like, hey, man, we got to medevac this guy out of here. And I remember the medevac taking like 4 hours to get to our location, man. And this patient's, his stomach was just expanding. So I knew that he was still bleeding internally and his blood pressure was tanking. And he had that look of impending doom, man. And I was just like, hey, man, everything's going to be fine. I got you. I was giving him IVs, checking his blood pressure. And eventually the helo got there. We got both of these patients out and we were able to medevac them and they both made it, man. But that's also that deployment. I also was part of 3 mass casualties, man, where I had, man, 17 injured soldiers, limited on my resources. Talk about triaging, right? And one of the hardest things, man, is you don't know what your reaction is going to be until you're there, right? I had soldiers that had gunshot wounds to the face, gunshot wound to the chest, broken clavicle, and I had some deceased soldiers, right? And these are partner force. So these are Filipino soldiers that were ambushed by Al Qaeda. And whenever there's an injury, they take them to our location where we were. So I'm out there. I could see just all of these soldiers injured, man. And I just go into action. My new guys didn't really know they've never seen any of this, man. They've never seen trauma like this. This is their first time. So they're looking at me like, Aaron, what do we do? How do we handle this? And I just tell them, dude, start plugging holes, right? That's all I need you to do. If you see a bleeder, put a tourniquet, right? Pack that wound up. I taught you guys how to do IVs, do an IV, And while they're doing that, man, I'm just triaging. I'm just like, all right, put a tourniquet on this guy, checking airway, just making sure everything's squared away, man. But when you come to a soldier that's no longer alive, man, and you have to make the call that there's nothing I can do. You have to move him from the section that he's in now to the deceased section. And that's a difficult process, man, because I have his fellow soldiers are right there and they're trying to tell me to do something to save his life. Dude, there's nothing I can do. He's gone. I got to make sure I can save who I can save with the resources I have, man. So being able to apply those skills in the PI was an incredible experience, man. It was one that shaped the way I do things now, that level of urgency, man. So it was incredible.
Yeah, you touched on so many great things. Being able to operate at that pinnacle. So whenever I came in, whenever I started, the last job I wanted to be was the medic. Leading up to it, but then for whatever reason, right before I signed that paperwork, it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I did it, and it was so fulfilling, so glad that I ended up going down that route. But just like you said, whenever you're sitting there, you're treating multiple patients. Yep, you have to make those hard decisions, but you're just locked on and you are just executing. You're leading, you're guiding the team, you're directing people to treat different casualties because you've got so many going on, but you're just like knocking it out of the park. That feeling is like no other. Because not only did I join the military, not only did I become a Navy SEAL, but whenever things really went sideways, whenever people are injured and lives are on the line, you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, and you're just handling business and taking care of people, getting things done, and improving their quality of life on the back end by treating those wound patterns correctly. So it's just, I mean, I've never had a better feeling than that I can
Yeah.
think of.
I would say the level of confidence that you gain from that is incredible, but also the confidence that your teammates have in you, seeing you perform, save lives, get that medevac, right? And they're like, holy smoke, because they've never seen that side of you, right? They've never seen you in action as a medic. They saw you in training, right? With all the pigs, putting some tourniquets, stopping some bleeders, but this was no shit. This was real world traumatic injuries that required urgent surgical care. And my goal as the combat medic is stabilize, get them out of here, utilize the resources that you have, guide your new guys, right, to help you as well. And man, that was so incredible. And my new guys were just like, dude, I was like, I didn't know that you could do that,
Right?
So yeah, it
That's
was
cool.
awesome, man.
That's cool. So even I had that aversion to this particular job. A lot of other people are going to have it, whether it's, oh, I don't like seeing blood, or, oh, that's a heavy weight. That's a lot of responsibility to be the person responsible for stabilizing and saving this person's life. What was it about the medic's role that called to you specifically?
Huh. I think innately, I just wanted to help, right? I had the skill set of an operator, but I also wanted the skill set of being a healer as well, man. And being able to be relied on when something like this happens. And it's like, hey, whenever you hear it, medic, it's like your ears perk up. It's time to go, man. And I just love that feeling, man, of people waiting on you, depending on you, and seeing you put forth these skills to save lives. I think that was it, man. I think saving lives is such a beautiful thing, man. And when I was in the Philippines, not everything was traumatic. I had a lot of medical patients, and being able to treat small injuries, being able to treat bacteria infections, being able to help families with their children, whether it's pediatrics, being able to help the elderly, that gave me a sense of purpose. And I enjoyed that part of it, man. And I honestly thought that I was going to continue in the path to medicine, man. And even when I finished my time as SEAL Team One and I got to first phase as an instructor, I was considering going to medical school, man.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's fantastic. So, what was it that changed your mind there?
I think I just lost the passion for medicine, man, and I gained a new passion, which was real estate. I was doing a lot of real estate investing, and I didn't have that passion that I used to have. I still love, helping people whenever I can when it comes with medicine, but I had other aspirations when I was in first phase and it just shifted things. However, I did pursue going to medical school. Like I put in a package. The Navy had this program called the Enlisted to Medical Degree Preparatory Program, EMDP2, long ass name. And I applied for it in first phase. However, by that time I had over 10 years of active duty service and they were only accepting people that were under that 10-year mark. So I didn't get accepted, but at the same time, I was kind of relieved that I didn't get accepted because it's a long school, 4 years long, and then you would have owed the Navy a mandatory 10 years. That's a long ass time in the Navy, man.
It's a
So,
long time.
yeah, I was kinda glad I didn't get accepted, and by that time, I was more into real estate. I was, honed in into first phase as well, so the medical thing just I lost the drive for it.
Yeah. That's one thing that I value about military experience that I like telling people who are evaluating the military as an option is it's a great test bank and a great incubator. So you think you want to do something? Oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to invest tens of thousands of dollars to get this degree. And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, this isn't what I expected. This isn't what I really wanted. And now here you are saddled with all this debt. On the flip side, you go into the military, you try it out, you give it a shot, and you're like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but it's not me long term. Now you have a body of an experience that you can rely on, that you can use as a foundation, but you don't have all of that debt incurred from trying a degree and going down a path and realizing later, not quite what I want to do. So it's really neat that you experienced that and you went through it. It validates that whole thing. It's like, "Hey, I wanna try something new. I wanna go into real estate." So you talked about this a little bit. You talked about that mindset of diagnosing problems under fire. You've got multiple casualties, incomplete information, new people coming in, extreme stress. How does that triage thought process show up today in your new world when you're navigating a complex real estate deal and maybe multiple problems hit your desk at once?